Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Hare, Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivajacharya Ashtota Sarasya A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Ananta Kota Vaishnavinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Gaur Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinda Ki Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radhakunda Gita Govardhana Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Ganga Maya Ki Jamuna Maya Ki Tulsi Deva Ki Bhakti Deva Ki Kama Vaisa Bhaktivinda Ki Lord Chaitanya's Harinam Sankirtan Ki Brihat Madanga Ki Srila Prabhupada Ki Gaur Premanandi. All glorious to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhatale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Kinamani Namaste Saraswate Devi Gaurahani Pacharya Nirvasesha Sanyavadi Hastacharya Shikara. Do we have a microphone? Microphone? I've got a sore throat this morning, kind of. I don't really want to push myself. Is this stand big enough for the phone? Is it big enough? Is it okay? You haven't got a stronger. You haven't got a stronger stand for the mobile phone. It looks like it's for some professional machine. They've got nothing else, but they've got this amazing arrangement here. Hopefully, we're hoping it's going to be a microphone of some kind, because my voice is a little strained. What happened to the mic system? We used to have speakers and still got them. It doesn't work anymore. The speaker system not working, huh?
Under repair.
Under repair, yeah. We started before COVID repairing it, wasn't it? Under repair, okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading Srimad Bhagavatam. We're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, I think, today, text 9 onwards. If you have it, it's Canto 6, Chapter 5, text 9. 659. And there's nothing on the screen, so I'll just read it through. Katam sapitur adesham avedvangso vipaschitaha anurupam avigyaya aho sargam karishyata. So Narada Muni is continuing. He's talking to the Haryasvas, 10,000 Haryasvas. Some saw Prajapati Daksha, who have been ordered by their father to enter into Grihastha life and beget children, progeny. And even, we could say this is whatever, but nothing unusual in a sense. The father expects the children to get married and have kids. But in these days, the culture was such that they wouldn't just do it. They're preparing themselves. There's a serious preparation. They don't just want to have cats and dogs. 10,000 cats and dogs. What is the use of 10,000 cats and dogs? So they're going to perform austerities to purify themselves and prepare themselves in the right state of consciousness to enter Grihastha life and to beget children. Just like in Vedic society, at least the cultured members of society, the children go to the Brahmacharya ashrama, and in the Brahmacharya ashrama they learn the purpose of life. And most people don't know anything about the purpose of life. It's whatever happens, happens. And sense enjoyment is most people's goal, really. Even family life, it's focused on sense gratification. It's not with any higher ideals in most cases. So in this time, even Daksha himself is expert at sense gratification. He's got a very great soul in other ways. He's a very special personality. But nonetheless, he is quite well known for being expert in sense gratification. So but still, he's insisting that his children in this way prepare themselves so that they can beget good children. Not just any old thing coming out. If the child, it states by Pandit, that if the child doesn't become a devotee of the Lord, then he's as good as urine. They come out of the same hole. Both urine and semen come out of the same hole. So if the child doesn't become a devotee of Krishna, the child is just like urine. Pretty heavy statements. Because we don't preach that necessarily in public, at least not directly, indirectly maybe. people will probably not take it very nicely. And we can understand when people are in ignorance and don't understand the purpose of life, and you're kind of like sounding rather aggressive. But anyway, Narada Muni is now, they've gone off to try to undergo, like brahmachari life, you could say, to undergo austerities to prepare themselves for grihastha life. And Narada Muni, of course, he's like the super soul. He can basically see the hearts of other living entities there, where their consciousness is, what's best for them, and so on. So he's preaching to them, and he met them, come across them, and now he's preaching to them. Forget this family life. It's all nonsense. You're getting trapped, entangled, risky life. The Kumaras were also a different situation, but they also told, go and get married. No, we're not going to do that. We get entangled, forget it. So they stayed as little kiddies. But in this case, these are already adults. So Narada Muni is preaching to them, don't get entangled in the material world. Narada Muni is a very dangerous person. He's, I think some of the members of the Hare Krishna movement follow after his footsteps. People complain that you're, breaking up families and doing this and doing that. My son was a nice boy. He was a nice boy before he met the Hare Krishnas. He had lovely, shiny hair and a girlfriend. And he used to go out to the pub, and he would come home and we'd have a party. We would eat meat together and drink and watch television. He was a really nice boy. And when he met the Hare Krishnas, they ruined him. They completely ruined him. He doesn't drink anymore. He doesn't smoke anymore. He doesn't eat with us because he says that what we're eating is boga, whatever that is, and he won't eat it. And he says it's sinful. It's terrible what they do to people. Terrible. They don't even watch the television. They don't go to parties or dances or football matches. Their life is ruined. Ruined. And it's ruined our life as well. These Hare Krishnas are dreadful. Dreadful. You cannot imagine how much pain and suffering they inflict on people. Isn't that clear as a bell? They are into all sorts of crazy things. I've heard they're into conspiracy theories and all sorts of nonsense. Right? Yes or no? See, they're stupid too. They can't even think for themselves. They become like cabbages. They have no brain left. Brain washed. They're washed. Their brains have gone. They're just like robots. And they mumble this God knows what all day long. All day long, mumbling away something. There was a television program a month ago in France, and they filmed the Hare Krishnas secretly. Devotees didn't know. Some spy came into the temple, posing himself as a volunteer, so he stayed for some time. And they were on a mission. They were actually a detective, a cult detective. So they had a mission, and then they came out with this TV program, Dangerous Cult. They didn't show the faces, they showed everything else, the doties, the cartels, the bead bags, and this and that, the kurtas, but no faces were on the film. And they would just say how dangerous this is. Would you like your son to do something like this all day long? He said, these people are just praying away all day long. They were going like that, Crazy people. But isn't that what a temple's supposed to? Isn't that what churches are for? Aren't they supposed to be praying? They got this idea that this is like dangerous, This is really dangerous. It's an anti-society, against the interest of our country. It's cult. Dangerous persons. Anyway, whatever it is, many parents are like this. Daksha's like that, he's although he is very learned, scholarly, very learned in the Vedas, but he's basically interested in karma kandya. He has some, you could say, it's a kama bhakta or something, but very materially attached. Most people are like, even if they are remotely religious, their religious intention, even if they're seriously religious these days, their main intentions is material progress. Either heavenly planets or on this planet or something like that. They're not really, let's say, serious about spiritual emancipation. But Narada Muni is very serious, as we can see in these verses, about spiritual emancipation, not just improvement. Generally, religion deals with improving your state within the material world, whereas spirituality means the process to get out of the material world. They're quite different, although they may appear sometimes to have similarities. There's something in common, but the essential features are not. If people don't understand the goal behind religion, it remains purely material. It is not spiritual. It can lead to spirituality if one is following the directions of some elevated soul who is on the spiritual platform. But generally that's not the case. So whatever it is, if someone is fortunate enough to meet someone like Narada Muni, you may be in trouble. You may be joining a dangerous cult. Like you've heard of the Hare Krishnas? People like that, you know, Hare Krishnas and I don't know what else you've got. Munis, different dangerous cults are there. What they classify as dangerous cults. But the material world is a dangerous cult. Actually, you're joining a movement. But you're joining and they say, oh, just a small group of cultists, fanatics, you know, rebels, anti-society, anti this, anti that. But actually, the material world is like that. We're rebels. Everyone in the material world is a rebel. We're a cult member. We've turned against the reality. The vast majority of existence is not within the realm of the material energy. It's pure, spiritual. Living entities on the eternal spiritual platform have no interest in material progress. What for? What's the use? Of course, you can use it in Krishna's service and help others to realize that, so you can see value there, but otherwise there's no value whatsoever in material world. It has no value. The only purpose of the material world is like a prison house. Maybe the prisoners in the prison house think everybody outside is a rascal, is nonsense. Only we, the prisoners, we're the only ones. We're the real ones. Those guys outside there, they're all, nonsense. Maybe it's something like that. So we're thinking like that in this prison house of the material world. We're right, even though we're criminals, number one, stealing and claiming proprietorship over God's property, trying to enjoy it, denying the existence of the owner, killing each other, and then we think we're right, and we're the only ones. We have no idea, generally speaking, what is the reality of the soul or our actual nature. But that's like in the material world. It's like a prison house. You don't need a prison if there's no prisoners, do you? Do you need one? If there's no criminals, you need a prison? You need a hospital if no one's sick? These are symptoms of a sick society. People are sick. They're diseased, dis-ease. And they have prisons because people are criminals. But the whole material world is a prison house. Huh? In one sense, it's a prison house. It's described as a prison house. The shackles, Maitunya Agaras, we're locked up in the shackles. And what are the shackles? Is the shackles of this very thing? Attraction to this deep dark well that he's talking about. And becoming entangled in family life. People think that's success. Successful man. He became entangled in material life, so attached. Even to the time of death, he's addicted to his wife or his kids. Huh? Right to the time of death. That's it. That's life. His success is that his family are with him when he dies. This is success. This is the bondage, the entanglement of this material, this karma bandhana. But people don't see it like that. There's so much kept in ignorance, systematically kept in ignorance by religious, philosophical, political, society, economic, everything is entrenching us further and further in this bodily concept of life and in action and reaction. No one's getting really freed from their reactions, although we may adjust it and reduce it by various piety and what have you, religious piety, but it doesn't release one from the real problem, that we're still seeing ourselves as the enjoyer. We're still stuck in this illusion. But what to do? People don't understand, they don't want to understand, they deny, they even try to oppose any such preaching, practically speaking. Missing the glorious opportunity of really realizing our spiritual identity and attaining real happiness. Not the temporary happiness which is experienced in this chapala shuk of this material world, but the eternal happiness of self-realization, of spiritual connection with our eternal lover, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not a temporary body, in this case, in a deep dark well. We think that's very nice. And then disappointment comes, and then we try again, and again, ad infinitum. We never give up. Deha patyaka tradishu atmasanyasva satsapi. Although we're sufficiently experienced, we still don't see the inevitable situation we're in of death approaching us, and we don't inquire into the nature of the absolute or the spiritual essence, the soul. We don't make any inquiry. There is zero endeavor in most places of the world, zero endeavor to look in that direction, practically speaking. Where do they teach this at school? Even in the religious institutes, it's hardly maybe mentioned, but it's not taught. The process of realization is not taught. So Narada Muni is very determined here. He doesn't want the Haryasvas to become further entangled. They don't know, they're kind of, you could say they're innocent, but they have the potentiality. He can see the potentiality is very close to the surface. Prabhupada said that with Indian people. He said, you scratch the surface and it's not far underneath. Krishna consciousness is not far underneath the surface. Most people in the Western world, they're very covered, entangled, addicted to mountains of sin. Mountains, not just one or two things, but actually addicted, born into it by intense desire. But Krishna arranges this. The material world exists, just like a prison exists, to accommodate such personalities. The material world, Prabhupada writes, only exists because of the errant desires of the living entities, those living entities who wish to be, let's say, opposed to the will of the Lord. The Lord provides this facility so we can forget Him and try to absorb ourselves in trying to be the enjoyer. That's what the material world is all about. But it wouldn't exist if the Lord didn't provide it. We can't make even one atom. We're not able to even create one atom. We only fiddle around with the energy. It's provided by Krishna. He's providing the material world because of our desire. So it's desire that has to change, not the material world. Sometimes we think the material world has to change to satisfy my desire. It's our desire which has to change. Away from seeing ourselves as the Atmendriya, the enjoyer of the energy around us, to Krishnendriya, seeing that Krishna is the enjoyer. So this is what Narada Muni is aiming at here, to try to change their objective. Not necessarily the activity even, but the objective of their activity. You can also get married, but you have to have the right understanding what the purpose behind it is. Some of you are married. You are married, right? I heard you're from South Africa. Is that correct? Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj's disciple? Very nice. You look a little like Harinamananda. You know Harinamananda? Got something similar. I mean, he's perhaps a little, everyone's different, but little similarities there in certain features. Is he your nephew or something, cousin? No?
Friend.
Huh?
No, it's not related to me. My friend.
He's your friend, is he? Yeah, that's good. So, South Africa. So you're living here now in Malaysia. Married, settled down. So you can get married. You've got 2 kids, huh? I know more about you. I never spoke to you before. But you're doing service. Your life is for serving your Guru Maharaj and for serving Prabhupada's mission, right? Is that right?
Yes.
You know, it just looks the same thing. I mean, if you're dressed differently, but if you put pants and shirt on, nobody. Even if you shave your cheek off, many people have bald heads. They wouldn't know. Hide it. You look the same. Maybe you're doing some service here, but if you were working, say, or a driver or something, you look like anyone else. People judge by what they see only too much. Huh? They don't understand what's going on inside. We don't either, practically speaking. Looking inside, as Narada is saying here, the super soul inside. We forget. We don't even think ourselves, even though we're somewhat on the path, I hope. But for the public, they see you different because of your shaved head, because you've got that paint on your forehead and those bed sheets hanging down, and some kind of collar around your neck, beads, and you go around mumbling all day long. That's how they judge you, you know. And you don't eat properly, and you don't sleep enough, and you don't sleep in proper beds. Some of you do. And you don't do this and you don't do that. That's how they judge you. They don't have a clue what's going on inside. And half the time we don't either. But we should do. We've got to look a little bit more internally. So we're going to the text 9. We won't take too long today. We're busy. We've already read it, I think. Did we? We read the Sanskrit. Alas, Narada Muni says, your father is omniscient, but you do not know his actual order. Without knowing the actual purpose of your father, how will you create progeny? Now there's an interesting verse, but we're going to the next one. There's no purport. There's two angles to that one. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, hearing these enigmatic, can you look up the word enigmatic on your mobile? Look it up. Enigmatic words is a very rare word. I've heard it many times. I did know the meaning, I've forgotten. These enigmatic words of Narada Muni, the Haryasvas consider them with their natural intelligence without help from others. Interesting. Enigmatic. Difficult to interpret or understand, mysterious. Very mysterious, difficult to understand. Exactly. Very good. Very nice definition. Very difficult to understand. You know, many times we see this. Narada Muni is an expert at this with the not just with the Haryasvas, with King Prashanibharishat. It also very difficult for him to understand what Narada Muni was talking about. He could understand this person is, you know, on a different level of consciousness, and he's definitely speaking knowledge for my benefit, but I can't work it out. I can't understand it. So these words are a little difficult. He's giving an allegorical situation, just like he did with King Prashanibharishat. Paranjan, the example of Paranjan there. So now they're considering his words. Now the question here, your father, that's another subject matter. Who is our father? Who is your father? It can be looked at in different ways. He can be taken directly as Daksha. Could be said, maybe you don't really understand the purpose behind his words. Well, it could be said, I mean, Daksha is not an ordinary person. He comes so many times in the Vedas, one of the leaders of the Vedas themselves, one of the most famous person. You mentioned, I think, the Bhagavad Gita progenitor, no, maybe not. But he's one of the chief progenitors of the universe. He's a very powerful person. Very powerful. Directly related to Lord Brahma. He's a very powerful personality and very elevated too. Extremely elevated throughout the universe. So in one sense, you could perhaps see that his highest purpose, maybe somewhere there was a higher intention, although that wasn't what he wanted them to do immediately, of attaining higher purpose in life. It wasn't just get married, but get married, perform your duty, and also later on in life, not now, later on in life, and you could take, you know, because generally speaking, the Kshatriyas, or the Brahmin Kshatriyas, they would definitely retire from family life, retire from whatever commitments they have, and dedicate their lives in later years to spiritual realization. But not now. You should get married now. You should do your duty now. So there may be something there behind it all. That's the objective goal. So why waste your time if you don't need to? Just like in this world today, I mean, I was just mentioning a few devotees of the day, but oftentimes a person in a very big position in this world, at least financially speaking, is not really educated. Many of the big, rich people, not less those who are puppets and just doing, mechanical work, but those behind it all, they don't waste their time getting degrees and studying like this. They just get straight into what they know they need to do. They don't need it all. They're already imbued with that capacity. And they just, they know how to manage people. They know how to control people. They know how to utilize people for their purposes. These type of person. Demoniac it may be, but that's the nature of someone, in that position. So they don't waste their time. They've got what they need. What's the point of studying all the Vedas if you know the purpose behind them? All purposes, yavan artoparahi, sarvatattva are served to one who knows the purpose behind the Vedas. They don't need to study separately. They don't need to go through the grihastha ashram, not even the vanaprast. They don't need to go through these ashrams. Automatically, they've realized the purpose of human life. They don't waste their lives. Yadana jasana, tak karma granta nibandhanam. Becoming entangled in karma nibandhanam, the bondage of karma granta, not of material life. When people get married, what do they say? You tie the knot. Is that what, do they say that here in Malaysia? You tie the knot when you get married. Maybe, in Hinduism they literally tie the knot, right? In the West, they don't necessarily tie a knot between a man's suit, if he's got one, his jeans, the belt of his jeans, or his t-shirt or something, and the woman's, pants. They get married with pants and jeans these days. But they used to wear nice clothes, fancy clothes. No, they don't tie the knot literally, but they call it tying the knot. You're now bound up. You're binding up. You're bound up. You're tied to each other. You're tied to that lump of chemicals and stool and blood and pus. Now, what a nice thing to be tied to, huh? I got a real nice bag of stool. My bag of bones and stool and blood and pus is better than your one. God, look at this nice shaped stool. My stool's really shapely. Your stool's pretty ugly, mate. Ooh, and it stinks too. Poo. In one sense, that's what it is, huh? We don't see it like that usually, where our senses go bananas. As we see a shapely form before our eyes, we lose all control. And then, what to do? This is the condition of the living entity. So, ultimately, that's not the goal of life. Life's desires are not to be aimed towards sense gratification. Live a healthy life, keep yourself together. But the goal of jivasya tattva jignas is to inquire, find out, who are we? What is the nature? What's the purpose of this world? Why am I suffering? Is there a God? If there is, what's the relationship? Questions of relevance. They're relevant now, they're relevant everywhere, and they've been relevant all times. The questions we ask are just meaningless. What's the weather? Who cares what the weather is tomorrow? I mean, we do, but when tomorrow's gone, it's gone. Oh, who won the election? Blah, who cares? What do the ants care about who the Prime Minister of Malaysia is? Does it mean much to them? Nothing. There's just a few people who get uptight and excited about these things. But the vast majority of the world doesn't even know where Malaysia is. Maybe now they do with communication. Previously, they thought it was a country in Africa, next to South Africa, Malawi. Malawi? Oh, Malaysia, that's an island somewhere, isn't it? Yeah, I've heard of it. Anyway, whatever, people. No, now they know because communications are there and so on, but previously, unknown. You know we're in Malaysia, of course. Speak of Kuala Lumpur. But to us, we're stuck here in this little bubble. It's all so important, so important, so important. Anything. Anyone mention Malaysia, you go to India. Even if you go to India, you meet someone from Malaysia, immediately, boom! Where are you from? Ipoh. Oh, Ipoh? Really? My mother's from Ipoh. Which part of Ipoh? Rifle Range. No. Really? Rifle Range? I lived in Rifle Range. Whatever it is. Isn't it? You can really get completely absorbed. It's like, wow. Oh, my heart. Malaysia, I love you. Whatever it is. The language. Where can I get durians? Your attachments, Do you know how to cook, nasi lemak? Oh, can I come for lunch today? I've had enough of this rice and, dal or whatever it is. There's some twig there. If you meet someone from South Africa, you also feel like, wow, hey, wow. Secure at last. A person, a real person at last I have met. From South Africa. Or from Germany. Germany! Sprechen Sie Deutsch? Ja! Achtung! I only know about 4 words. It's just conditioned life, huh? You feel excited. We were in, was it Sydney or something? 2 or 3 Slovakians were floating around, and he's getting real excited. And talking his mother tongue. These guests, Slovakians. It's a conditional nature. And of course, one hopefully rises above that a little bit at least. But it's kind of a normal kind of thing. But that's not the goal of life. The goal of life is something else. It's to break that bondage. Karma bandhana bandhana. To break it, that knot, that bandhana. That knot of karma. Entanglement in family life, in society, and etc. How do we break that knot? Well, here they're getting that perfect chance. Yes, yat mabudi kunapetu tadake. Fadi kalatadu shuboma ijidi. Yatirta buddhi shilile nakaja. Janesha vigesh eva gokara. Right? Famous verse. Yes, yat mabudi. Those persons who think that this material body made of the 3 elements is the self, who think that the place of birth is worshipable, it's my homeland. It must be worshipable because I'm from there. It's my homeland. It's me. These family members are mine. These family members belong to me. Huh? They're my wife, my children, my home, my dog, my heart, my car, my everything. Maya. We're all in Maya. We don't realize it. We're sleeping in the lap of the witch called Maya. Literally. The one who thinks like this, and no, very pious, they go to the church, or they go to the temple, they go to the holy place. What do? They pray. Give me a bigger wife. Give me a bigger car. Give me more children. Make my children healthy, wealthy, and wise. Let me have a house on the shore with a nice, whatever, boat, so I can go on the ocean. Let me go to heaven. Please forgive me for anything I did wrong. I didn't mean to do it. Well, I did really. But please forgive me anyway. Isn't it? Most of you are from Indian, 3 out of 5. Indian backgrounds. Isn't that what they pray for? Material things, huh? Is it right? Get a good job. Get a green card. Get a, good education, pass my degree or something. Isn't it? Please bless me, they say. So many times they come. They say, what blessings do you want? Well, my grandmother's sick. Can you please bless my poor grandmother? She's 99 years old. And she's got cancer. Please bless her that she's okay. I want to go to America. I'm taking my exams. Please bless me that I pass my exams. What is this, What's the point of all this? Does it really do any good to anyone? Just satisfying some whim of the public or your family or your own mind? Does it really help? Is it serving? And look at the world. Even today, we consider ourselves civilized. We consider ourselves so advanced. And look what's going on in the world today. I mean, I don't want to pinpoint too many things, but there's wars going on here and there. Over what? Over what? Nobody really knows. I mean, some people do know, but generally people don't know why on earth are they fighting. It makes no sense. There is a reason, but generally it makes no sense. Of course there's reasons. People see things differently. We haven't got to the real point. We haven't solved the real problems. There's still birth, death, disease, and old age. Threefold miseries are everywhere, and people are causing harm to each other. Look what happened for 3 years almost. The whole world was basically held in suspension, whatever you want to call it, with COVID. Did you want it? We vote for COVID. Nobody. Maybe some pharmaceutical companies may have voted for it, I don't know. But the vast majority of people did not vote for it. Right? They didn't want to get sick with COVID. Do anything you can to avoid it. People don't want to be sick. But you can't avoid it. This is Martiloka. This is the material world. Dukale Mashashvatam. It is a place of suffering. You can't avoid suffering. It's like going into the water and saying, darn it, I'm wet. Why am I wet? Why are my clothes wet? The easy answer is you went into the water. Not very difficult. Are you stupid or what? If you jump in the water, you expect your clothes to be wet, don't you? Well, no, I don't want them to be wet. Don't jump in the water. So if you don't want suffering, why are you living? Why are you in this place? This is, Dukkhalayam Shashratam. It's a place of suffering. That's what it is. It's you. Don't blame someone else. Your choice. You're here. What do you expect? If you tell somebody, if you go try to cross the road, you're going to get knocked over. Oh, no, I don't believe you. Bang, they get knocked over. What do you expect? So many examples of that sort of given. People don't listen. They don't listen. So the Haryasvas will be listening. They will be listening to Narada Muni. We won't get into long purport. It's along these lines. I'll just quickly read it. The Haryasvas understood the meaning of Narada's words as follows. The word Bhuhu, the earth, refers to the field of activities. It means, where we are, what's around us, basically. The material body, which is the result of the living entity's actions, is his field of activities. So we have our own, and then we're in an environment, and it gives him false designation. We all think, yes, as we've already discussed, this is me. And of course, I didn't finish that verse, did I? They go to a holy place like churches, but they just simply pray for material things. They don't listen to the words of the transcendentalists. They don't care to listen. They only want material results. So they don't hear that. But they miss that opportunity. Therefore, they're considered to be no better than animals. Cows or asses, they also go to the holy places, knowingly or unknowingly. They're living there, at least. But it's the mentality of cows and asses. Animal mentality. We could say, well, being a cow is not so bad, but the point we have to understand is the mentality of complete ignorance. They don't know what the purpose of life is. So Prabhupada, the verse rather, Narada, and now the Haryasvas are understanding these meanings of these statements of Narada. It's false designation. He identifies himself as being a dog or a human or an animal of some kind or another. False designations. Since time immemorial, he has received various types of material bodies, which are the roots of bondage to the material world. If one foolishly engages in temporary, fruitive activity and does not look toward the cessation of this bondage, what will be the benefit of his actions? What is the benefit? Death. Karma. I bless you to die. I bless you to get karma. I bless you to suffer until you wake up. Will people be happy by such blessings? I don't think so. You won't be a very popular guru in the world today. Right? I bless you to suffer until you, unless you listen to what I'm saying, I bless you to suffer until you realize it's all a waste of time. I bless you to become free of your material bondage to your family. I bless you to become free of identifying with whatever you think you are. Are people happy with that type of blessing? I bless you to be a failure in the material world. Well, if they think the Hare Krishnas are bad enough, that would be really, limits, you know. You'd basically be blessing someone to go to hell in their picture, in their vision. Certainly wouldn't like that. Whew. Narada Muni spoke to the Haryasvas, the sons of Prajapati Daksha, about 10 allegorical subjects. These are the 10. You've been reading, I guess. The king, the kingdom, the river, the house, the physical elements, and so forth. After considering these by themselves, the Haryasvas could understand that the living entity encaged in his body seeks happiness, but takes no interest in how to become free from his encagement. This is a very important verse, since all the living entities in the material world are very active, having obtained their particular types of bodies. A man works all day and night for sense gratification, and animals like hogs and dogs also work for sense gratification, day and night. They're always looking for somewhere to eat, somewhere to stay, some bitch, or whatever it is to enjoy with, something, always active. Birds, beasts, and all other conditioned living entities engage in various activities without knowledge of the soul encaged within the body. Especially in the human form of body, one's duty is to act in such a way that he can release himself from his encagement. But without the instruction of Narada or his representative in the disciplinate succession, people blindly engage in bodily activities to enjoy Maya Sukha. He said Chapala Sukha, same thing. Flickering, temporary happiness. It looks nice, huh? Glamorous. You look at a picture of a, half-naked girl or something, pretty one. The bells go off, or whatever it is, or Mr. Superman. Bells go off. Your favorite hero, your sports hero. Even devotees walk around with messy t-shirts. It says here, please arrange and keep tidy. But the devotees are walking around with messy t-shirts. You've seen it? You've seen them? Even devotees sometimes walking around with messy t-shirts. Our hero. Many devotee kids, they want to. I spoke to one the other day. I said, what? Yeah. Any thoughts about what you'd like to be in the future? He said, I want to be an international football player. Little Indian boy, Really? Yeah. Ronaldo, he said. Ronaldo. Some famous football player he was talking about. That's his idol. That's his goal. Let's see. Easy to get trapped, huh? Maya is very glamorous. Come here. Come. She knows exactly what will catch her attention. Exactly. And you may be tested. Be careful. Warning bells. They do not know how to become free from their material encagement. Rishabdev therefore said that such activity is not at all good. This is from the 5th canto, previous canto. Since it engages the soul again and again in a body subjected to the threefold miseries of the material condition. Hare Krishna. The Haryasvas, the sons of Prajapati Daksha, could immediately understand the purport of Narada's instructions. Their intelligence was sharp and clear. They were at this point not clouded. They haven't got entangled yet. They're still a little bit clear. And their intelligence is not many branched yet. Our Krishna consciousness movement is especially meant for such enlightenment. We are trying to enlighten humanity so that people may come to the understanding that they should work hard in tapasya for self-realization. That would be a nice blessing. I bless you that you will work very hard with no material results in tapasya, undergo austerities for self-realization. Now, not so many people will be very keen on that one either. The mobile is ringing. freedom from the continuous bondage of birth, death, disease, and old age. In one body after another. Maybe some people would, that sounds good. I bless you to become free of birth, death, disease, and old age. That doesn't sound so bad. Maybe we could word it like that. I bless you to become free of the threefold miseries of material existence. I'm sure they would like that one. But you have to perform tapasya. They may not like that side of it. They like the half chicken. I like the bum where the eggs come out, but I don't like feeding the mouth. I bless you to have eggs, but you have to feed the chicken also. No, I'll just have the eggs. I'll just have the, freedom from suffering. Let me carry on with whatever else I'm doing. But freedom from suffering sounds great. I like that blessing. But you have to take the blessing fully. Where are you?
Prabhupada says, want the kingdom of God without God.
Kingdom of God. They want the kingdom of God without God. They even put pictures of it in many of the sects of the world today. They have magazines and they show pictures of heaven. There's no God there. It's just people enjoying themselves, but there's no God. Your dog is there, your cat is there, your budgie is there, your grandma's there, poor girl. She's looks like 90 years old with grey hair and can hardly walk, but she's there as well in that lovely form. And your dog's barking away, but the dog, the lion's around the corner, but the lion doesn't eat you. The lion's very, very nice in heaven, etc., etc. Right? God knows what form you take, or when you take, or why you take it. You somehow end up in your dream world, just your world. You're dreaming, I love my grandmother, I love my grandson. Those poor souls are stuck in that form, I guess, because you want it. It's nothing to do with spirituality or the God's will. That's the way I envision it. Happy families. But I'm not your grandma. You be my grandmother. No, you're my grandmother. No, I'm your grandmother. You're gonna fight over who's what part in the drama. Maybe. Maya, however, is very strong. She is expert in putting impediments in the way of this understanding. Woo! Therefore, sometimes one comes to the Krishna conscious movement, but again falls into the clutches of Maya, not understanding the importance of this movement. Oh boy, is one of these purports you could really go on and on. Anyway, you get the idea. Impediments, they can be seen as impediments. Why is this happening to me? I've been chanting Hare Krishna for 5 seconds and I'm still suffering. Maybe 5 years, excuse me. What is 5 years? 20 years and I still, blah, 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 on and on. Boom, 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 boom. And you go away, or whatever it is. Maybe commit some offensive words, some doubts, some whatever. In deep desires which we've been allowing to grow within our consciousness, inattentive in our sadhana, not very submissive in our service attitude, still very much associated with mundane objects, seen or unseen, within the mind or on the social media or around and about, whatever it is, bad association. And naturally one's mind will be disturbed. And one may, think of other things. And if one's not careful, may Father says here, may fall again into the clutches of Maya. Well, these impediments can be seen like that, but they're actually tests to strengthen us. We can see it in another way, Daiviheshu Gunamai Maya Darachaya, that we have no hope of overcoming these or defeating these impediments which we're faced with. In one sense, we may try. But the real point of it all is that we take shelter of Krishna. That's the point. The impediment is not meant as a sort of, it's my bad karma. It's not. It's a test to try to help us to realize what it means. Krishna consciousness means to actually take shelter of Krishna. It's not some method in order that we facilitate our own egos or our own material desires or whatever it is, or our own spirit, even our own spiritual aspirations. No, it's the process of taking complete shelter of Krishna. Whatever happens then happens. But it's putting the horse before the cart. We tend to put the cart first, me first. But it's not. Krishna consciousness means it's not all about how I feel. Nowadays, something very popular philosophy, although it's not known by most people. It's called wokeism. Have you heard of wokeism?
I know the woke.
What? Woke?
I know the woke.
Woke. What does woke mean?
Like alert and awake.
Alert and welcome. Awake or woke?
Woke.
W-O-K-E, woke. Well, it's a very undermining many things now. It's all about you and how you feel, basically. How everything around you affects you. Wokeism. The whole world is prime ministers and presidents of the world today. Many of them are adherents to this philosophy. They don't necessarily come out right, but they are. Big thing in the world today. Or you are what matters. Or your group is what matters. There's a whole worldwide movement recently. And it's not there. And all legs this is going on. How I feel. You have been abused, exploited. You have to establish your rights. It's based on this type of philosophy or whatever you want to call it. Not really philosophy, or belief or something, or endeavor. So it's a very self-centered type of thing, or community-centered thing. It binds you. The whole binds you in a particular concept or identification. And you want to get your equal rights, etc. Anyway, you could go on. It's a very popular philosophy nowadays which people are becoming entangled in. And it brings more and more this bodily conception of life. It's not the real awareness. Real awareness is spiritual awareness. This is of a physical or, gender or race or particular group or just me alone, whatever it is, but a kind of a false awareness of our false identity. It's not real awareness. It's awareness of more of our false identity and trying to establish it in its rightful position in a society of exploitation. Anyway, it's just another way of perpetuating the cycle of birth and death. It has no other result, ultimately. Entanglement in this material world. Maya places all these obstacles in front of us, even in the path of devotional service, and sometimes we base our judgments on how I feel, most of the time. And in the childlike stage of spiritual life, you expect that type of mentality, but without some elevation in Krishna consciousness, it's not going to do much good. You can hang around here for lifetimes, how I feel, what I think, what we think. We have to, if we want to get out of this cycle, we have to connect with Krishna. What Krishna thinks, what Krishna wants, what Krishna feels. How does Krishna feel about what I'm doing? Not all the time, how do I feel about what I'm doing? How does Krishna feel? It's Krishna consciousness, taking shelter of Krishna. And if we have a hard time, we pray to Krishna to help us. A hard time meaning, with anarthas or with offensive mentality or whatever it is. If we're sincere, we'll turn to the one who can help us. Not just sympathy from other similarly conditioned souls isn't going to help us any. We're just carrying on blindly denying or whatever, even propagating our compromised state of consciousness as being, perfectly fine. No. We want change of heart, change of consciousness, Krishna consciousness. We turn to Krishna. Obstacles are things we see when we lose sight of the goal. When we keep our eyes on the goal, we won't see it as an obstacle, you'll see it as an opportunity. You'll see it as another opportunity to take shelter of Krishna, not an obstacle. Why is Krishna doing this to me? Why is he doing it to me? We have this self-centered mentality only too often. Obviously there's a reason. We have to understand it, we may not be on the level of intelligence of the Haryasas, but there's a reason behind everything. It's not just chance. It's not even bad karma for a devotee. It's Krishna specifically allowing a situation. He wants to see the change of heart. That means the change of our attitude. It's not a change of dress or a change of ashram or a change of varna or a change of body or whatever. It's a change of our attitude. So we're still seeing ourselves as the enjoyer, as the center, as the controller and the owner, etc. To the point where we see Krishna as the owner, as the enjoyer, as the proprietor of everything, the friend of everyone. Then you can have peace. Not that we're looking for peace either, it comes automatically. Otherwise we'll be struggling and struggling. The more we can see, that's why daily worship is so important, to put Krishna's will in the center. We're learning to do things the way Krishna would like, not the way I like, the way Krishna likes. We don't know who we are. How the heck do we know what I like anyway? We're only identifying with our karma as me, and whatever karma we got, certain things are attractive and certain aren't, and that will change next week. So what do we know? To see things from Krishna's perspective. Guru Shastra Sadhu. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Premanandi. Haribol. Hare Krishna. So what do you got for breakfast? I hope I like it. I hope that they've cooked something I like this morning. Huh? I'm going to complain to the temple president if I don't like what they've cooked. Hope there's no spices in there, no oil, right? Hey? Right? Yeah. We're never satisfied in this world, are we? No matter what you give a person, is not going to be a fish out of water is never satisfied. You're never really satisfied because you don't belong in this world. Full stop. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Okay, you can write your complaints on a piece of paper and give them to me, okay? All your complaints. I'll be very happy if there's complaints, and I'll be relieved I'll be relieved. I take them very well. Any complaints? Who do you think you are? You don't know who I am? Who do you think you are asking a question like that? You don't know nothing. You're just stupid. Listen to me, okay? Problem with you is you're not listening to me. It says on the front there, what does it say?
Keep calm and thank you for listening.
Yes. Okay? Do you hear what I said? Did you hear me? Tick, tick inside, you know. I hope everyone liked what I said. I hope they all think, oh, he's a very advanced devotee. Ooh. The same thing is in the material world. There's a girl going on a fashion. I hope everyone thinks I'm the most beautiful girl here. My dress, my shape, my hair, my smile, my legs. Same thing. More or less. Maybe some touch of Krishna consciousness is purifying us, but it's the same mentality still there. It's got to change. We've got to put Krishna in the center. I am the best, I know it all. I do it my way. Be careful, you may fall. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanandi.